Sripadarajam Sharanam Prapadhye, Chapter 11. The episode of Subbaya Sresthi, Chintamani and Bilwamangala. Worship of Datta results in adoration of all deities. Birth of Sripada, an extraordinary lustrous phenomenon. Next day, Sri Subbaya Sresti narrated like this. Lord Sri Datta is an embodiment of all deities. By worshipping Datta, one can obtain the results of worshipping all deities. Sri Datta is inside all deities. Mother Sumati used to worship Paramashiva in the essential nature of Anasuya during the time of Shani Pradosha. Therefore, the intrinsic aspects of Shiva in Lord Datta reflected in the real nature of Anasuya. They took birth as Sripada in the womb of Mother Sumati, who was on an equal plane as Mother Anasuya. It was a wonderful yogic exercise. Sripada was not born out of the physical union of parents. Yogic lights emerged from the eyes of Appalaraja Sharma and Mother Sumati, who were in deep meditation. These lights combined and stayed in the womb of Mother Sumati. After completion of 9 months, a brilliant form of light was delivered by Mother Sumati. By nature, Sripada was a personification of light. He was exhibiting some strange powers from his third year. After Sripada, three sisters, Sri Vidyadhari, Radha, and Sureka, were born. On the day Sri Vidyadhari was born, a great scholar, Malladi Ramakrishna Avadhani, who was a distant relative of Sri Bapanarya, came to their house. He had a son by name Chandrasekhar. Mahalakshmi was born in the house of Gandikota family. All the relations unanimously opined that it would be better if she becomes the daughter-in-law of Malladi family. Sripada also said that it would be better if his sister Sri Vidyadhari was given in marriage to Chandrasekhar. Intentions of Sripada are accomplished automatically. His resolve is as firm and strong as a hard diamond. In consonance with his words, the marriage of Sri Vidyadhari and Chandrasekhara Avadhani was celebrated on a grand scale in Pitikapuram afterwards. Another sister Radha was given in marriage to Sri Vishwanath Murali Krishna Avadhani of Vijayawada, and the third sister Sureka was married to Sri Tadepalli Dattatreya Avadhani of Mangalagiri. My dear Shankara Bhatt, the sportive actions of Sripada are unimaginable. There is a village called Tatankapur, Tanuku in Godavari region. There is a very pious family in that village which perform many great sacrifices like Vajapeya and Poundarika sacrifices. The name of that family is Vajapayajula. There are close connections between Malladi family of Pitikapuram and the Vajapayajula family of Tanuku. However, the family of Vajapayajulu has faith in the theory of Idam Brahmyam, Idam Kshatram, both Brahmanic culture and valor of Kshatriyas. They belong to the lineage of Parashara, comprising of three sages Vasistha, Shakti, and Parashara. They follow Rig Veda. Malladi family follows Yajur Veda. In the state of Karnataka, there were no suitable teachers to teach Rig Veda to youngsters studying it. In that connection, when invited, Sri Vajapayajula Mayanacharyulu from Tanuku migrated to Hoyasala in Karnataka Desha. From then, they were called Hoyashala Brahmins. They adopted the professions of Brahmins and Kshatriyas with equal ease. They underwent many difficulties to save Sanatana Dharma. Mayanacharyulu had two sons. One was Madhavacharya and the other was Shayanacharya. Both of them were scholars of very high caliber. Sri Shayanacharya wrote commentaries on Vedas. Sri Madhavacharya undertook intense penance for the grace of Sri Lakshmi. When Sri Mahalakshmi appeared, he requested for the grant of extraordinary grace of Sri Lakshmi. Then Sri Devi told him, "My dear child, it is not possible for you in this present birth." He immediately announced, "Mother, I am taking to renunciation. Then it is a second birth for me, is it not?" Sri Devi bestowed him with abundant grace. With his touch, any baser metal used to turn into gold. He is Sri Vidyaranya Maharshi. Sripada blessed him. He is the one who will be born in the third generation of the lineage of ascetics as Sri Krishna Saraswati. When Sripada incarnates as Nrsimha Saraswati in future, Sri Krishna Saraswati will be his guru for initiating him into the ascetic order. As his desire for enjoyment did not abate, he would be born in the future centuries in the family of Shayanacharya with the name of Govinda Dikshulu. He would become the chief minister to the rules of Tanjore and will be praised by all people as Rajarshi. All this was a forecast about the future. This is the course of destiny decided personally by Sripada. His resolve will always become true. Therefore, this forecast about the future will certainly take place. When many deities are worshipped, the life force of Lord Datta would reflect in those deities. It will transform into a new consciousness and fulfill the desires of spiritual seekers. If Lord Datta is worshipped, he decides to what extent a particular task is to be performed by the potency of any particular deity and protects the devotee. The devotee is protected as an eyelid that protects the eye. Dhruva undertook a rigorous penance. Sri Mahavishnu granted him his boundless and infinite paternal affection. Lord Sri Datta is a supreme phenomenon. He is the base and beyond both of form and formless natures. That is the ultimate real nature. That is the primordial nature, and that is an essential nature which has no beginning or end. The true nature of Datta can be realized only through experience, but it is utterly futile to contemplate about it with logical intellect. The secret of the incarnation of Sripada Srivallabha is its all round competence to get a thing done, or done in a different way. The essential nature of Sripada. Sri Sripada, who announced that he was himself Dattatreya, was worshipping Kalagnishamana Datta in his house. Bapanarya, who was worried about this matter, once asked Sri Sripada, "My boy, Sripada, are you Datta or a worshipper of Datta?" Then he replied, "I am becoming Datta when I say I am Datta." When I say I am a worshipper of Datta, I am becoming a worshipper of Datta. When I am Sripada Srivallabha, I am becoming Sripada Srivallabha. Whatever I wish, it will happen. I am becoming that one in the way I am thinking. This is my nature. All this was very confusing to the grandfather. Then Sripada said, Grandfather, both of us are one. In the ensuing birth, I am going to incarnate with a body which closely resembles you. You have a very strong desire to enter the ascetic order. It is not my resolve that you should be a monk in this life or in the next life. I want to incarnate with a body exactly resembling you in all respects and destroy all your karmic shackles and influences. Saying so, he touched the center point of eyebrows of grandfather gently. That is the place of focal consciousness. He saw for some seconds Babaji, who was in a state of undisturbed trance of penance in Himalayas. After some time, he saw him taking bath in the confluence of Triveni in the great pilgrimage center Prayaga. He saw the form of Sripada afterwards. That image merged with the self-existent Datta in the Kukteshwara temple. An Avaduta came out of it. He saw that his daughter Akhanda Lakshmi Saubhagyavati Sumati Maharani was giving alms to that Avaduta. He again saw that the Avaduta took the shape of Sripada Srivallabha and lying in the lap of Sumati Maharani. Again he witnessed that the new youth came out of her lap and changed into a youth of 16 years. That new youth saw him with profound looks and took a form exactly resembling him. However, that person was appearing like an ascetic. He was walking majestically with his disciples after taking bath in the confluence of two sacred rivers. That ascetic glanced towards him and spoke. Oh, you appear to be discussing yourself as to who I am. I am called Nusimha Saraswati. This is Gandharvapura. Within minutes after speaking these words, he threw his upper garment into the river. He sat on it and reached Srisela. Great people, great yogis in Kadalivana prostrated before him. All of them prayed, Mahaprabhu, we are all doing penance for so many hundreds of years for your advent. Kindly make us blessed. After undertaking penance for many years, he appeared as an aged person with only loin cloth. Sending his extremely sharp looks towards Sri Bapanarya, he told that he is called Swami Samartha. After some time, he relinquished the body. He transferred his life force to a banyan tree and merged his divine soul in the Mallikarjuna Shivalinga at Sri Sela. From that highly powerful Shivalinga, a profound thundering voice was thus heard. Bapanarya, you are indeed fortunate. I am unobtainable, imperceptible to speech and mind, infinite total embodiment of wisdom, and without beginning or end. By your power of Kriya Yoga, you have brought me from the solar region through Shaktipata and attracted into this Jyotirlinga. 18,000 celestials always worship me in the form of this Jyotirlinga. Those holy celestials assist the people who adore this Jyotirlinga in their material and spiritual progress. A personification of the Trinity, I am blessing you with my forms of Sripada Srivallabha, Narasimha Saraswati, and Swami Samartha. My child Shankara Bhatt, the sportive place of Sri Guru was unimaginable. After some time, Sri Bapanarya became his normal self. He saw facing him Sripada, a boy aged 3 years with an innocent face smiling sweetly. This strange experience gave him heavenly sweetness. He hugged Sripada to his breast. For some time he was in a state of divine ecstasy. He returned to a normal state from the supernatural experience and started the fire ritual. The way in which he performed the fire ritual looked amazing. Generally, fire is generated by using sticks of an Audambara tree and Jamni tree. But Sri Bapanarya chant Vedic mantras after placing the holy Samidas in the fire altar. Immediately fire is generated and flames shot up. Sri Appalaraja Sharma also did like that. Worship of fire was there in their family. They got down into the burning altar of fire and offer oblations. They used to do this on special sacred days. There was no harm for their body or clothes in this kind of fire worship. This is a wonder of wonders. Sripada's capacity to make things happen or not happen. On the day during the fire ordeal, fire did not generate in spite of Sri Bapanarya chanting Vedic mantras many times. Seeing the difficult condition of his grandfather, Sripada was smiling sportively. Grandfather was sweating profusely. Then Sripada turned towards the fire oven and said, "You, Agnideva, I am commanding you. Don't create obstruction to the divine work of grandfather." Immediately fire ignited and flames were rising. Sri Sripada took some water from the water pot of his grandfather and poured it into the fire. Instead of getting extinguished, the fire began to burn very brightly. Seeing this, grandfather was much more wonderstruck. Sripada averred like this, "Grandfather, for this incarnation of mine, yourself, Venkatappaya Sresthi and Narasimha Varma are responsible. Therefore, when you or my father receive any monetary or non-monetary assistance from Venkatappaya Sresti or Narasimha Varma, it cannot be counted as a donation. Non-acceptance of such an offer also amounts to an offense against God. Such an assistance has to be regarded as grace of the Almighty. My mother Sumati Maharani, who gave me birth, has to be considered as a female child not only of Malladi family but also of Sri Venkatappaya Sresti and Sri Vatsavai families. This is my edict." When Sri Sripada was declaring like this, Appalaraja Sharma and Sumati Maharani were there only. By chance, Venkatappaya Sresti and Narsimha Varma were also there. Sripada said, "Without my will, even a great hermit like Sri Bapanarya cannot generate fire. Fire God will show his power when my father also gets into the fireplace. If there were to be a change in my intention, Venkatappaya Sresthi turns into a very poor person. Narsimha Varma, who is the owner of many acres of land, becomes shelterless. All of you remain in your positions, following my intention only. I can make a beggar as a king, and I can change a king into a beggar also. I will grant whatever a devotee dependent on me request. However, I will examine before granting whether the devotee can retain so much superior power and whether he will use his capacity and power for the welfare of the world or not. Whenever I find it necessary, I will turn soil into sky and sky into soil also. In Kruta Yuga, when Bapanarya was living as Labha the Maharshi, he had a disciple named Mangala Maharshi. When Mangala Maharshi was cutting sacred grass, his hand was wounded. Blood flowed. That blood coagulated and turned into fragment holy ash. He was proud in his mind and that he achieved such a great accomplishment. Then Paramashiva appeared and moved his hand playfully. Great quantity of holy ash showered as if mountain boulders from Himalayas were falling apart. Paramashiva said, in Treta Yuga, Bharadwaja will perform Savitru Kataka Chayana in Pitikapuram. I showed you a fraction of the holy ash that accumulates in that great sacrifice. Then the pride of Mangala Maharshi was removed. All the listeners were dumb, bounded, and were hearing all that Sripada was saying. Sripada said, as a result of the punya earned in many births, one steps into this Pitikapuram Agraharam. It is of unspeakable significance that you are with me during the period of my incarnation. To experience my power, first you must become a rigorous spiritual seeker. Then only you will experience my power, compassion, affection, protection, and redemption from sin. My padukas will be installed in the house of Sri Bapanarya, which is my birthplace. I will drink milk in the morning in Pitikapuram in the lap of my mother Sumati. In the afternoon, Mother Sumati will feed me with little lumps of food. During night time, I eat halwa, sweet preparation with wheat flour from the lap of Mother Sumati. I will remain in Gandharvapura in the form of Nusimha Saraswati just as I am in Pitikapuram. I will seek Bhiksha in Gandharvapura exactly during midday. These will be clearly seen by those who have the sight of internal eye. Great personages, great yogis, and people of all countries come to my darbar to have my darshan like rows of ants. They dance in ecstasy, chanting Datta Digambara Sripada Vallabha Digambara Nusimha Saraswati Datta Digambara. The moment I give permission, all due tasks will be done at once. A great samsthan will be formed in my name. As my influence enhances, it will become difficult to purchase even a small patch of land as small as the foot of a cow. If necessary, I throw the people whom I consider as my own in Pitikapuram by dragging them with their hair. Without my will, one cannot come to my samsthan in Pitikapuram. However, rich he might be, or however great yogi he might be. This is confirmed and true. Be happy by realizing my real nature. This time will not come again. All powers of deities that are in the knowledge of man are within me. If anyone gives dakshina to me, I will multiply it hundredfold and grant him when the time comes. Money has to be earned without violating dharma. Desires can be satisfied without violating dharma. By doing righteous acts, moha is destroyed. After moha is destroyed, liberation is achieved. My boy Shankara Bhatt, do you hear the nectar like words of Sripada? After this sacred teaching, Narasimhavarma took Sripada in his horse carriage the next day to see his fields. He had many acres of agricultural lands. Many varieties of crops were grown in those fields, but cucumber plants were rarely flowering. After flowering, the tender vegetable was drying up. Even if the tender vegetables became big, they were bitter and not fit for cooking. Narasimhavarma submitted this matter to Sri Sripada. Sripada became placid faced and said, all the members of our household like cucumber curry made with dal. As the people in my house like it, I too like it. Nevertheless, an aspirant of Datta undertook penance in this land in old times. This holy earth is yearning for the touch of my feet, as I was verily Datta himself. It is expressing its eagerness to you in its language in this manner. When this earth receives my touch, there will be change in the nature of this Mother Earth. Then this Mother will give us very tasty cucumbers. Grandfather, you send the cucumbers grown here to our house without any fear. I will eat that preparation of curry along with the members of that household. My child, Shankara Bhatt, wonder of wonders. From that day onwards, there was an abundant crop of cucumbers in that field. They were also having very good taste. Sri Sripada got down from the horse carriage along with Narasimhavarma and roamed in the fields for some time. In the meanwhile, some tribal young men and women came there, all of them prostrated before Sripada. At that time, a divine illuminating halo formed around the divine countenance of Sripada. Sripada said, Grandfather, all these tribals belong to my incarnation of Narasimha. These people regard Mahalakshmi as their sister and worship her. You are a devotee of Narasimha Swami. If you take their help, you may obtain the darshan of Lord Narasimha. Narasimhavarma thought that Sri Sripada spoke like that playfully to tease him. He said like that, You Chenchu people, forest tribals, have you seen Nrsimhadeva? Can you tell about his whereabouts? For that they replied, What is great about it? A mad person with a lion's head and human body is roaming in these forests. He is infatuated with our sister Chenchulakshmi. Our girl also likes him. We married them both. If you want, we will bring Chenchulakshmi and Nrsimha also and place them before you. After speaking like this, those Chenchu youths run away quickly. Narasimhavarma was seeing all this with wonder. Then he observed that A young man and a young woman were coming across their fields. Fortunately, I was also going that way. Sripada beckoned me to come near him. When I approached him, Sripada told me, Subbaya Sresthi, whom do you think are those people coming from a distance? They are Bilwamangala and Chintamani. Collect some tree twigs. We will make fire with them. We can see the fires. Myself and Narsimha started perspiring profusely. Those visitors were Bilwamangala and Chintamani. There was no doubt they visited Sri Krishna in the pilgrim center Guruvayur. Fortunately, they visited afterwards a great yogini Kururamma. She blessed them involuntarily that they get the darshan of Sripada Srivallabha. Under the influence of her blessing, the seeds of devotion and detachment sprouted in them. They visited Sri Nusimha in Mangalagiri, and from there they were coming to Pitikapuram to have the darshan of Sri Sripada. On account of this efficacy of the blessing of that centenarian great lady who was a great yogini, they obtained the darshan of Sripada here itself. This was a wonderful matter. Both of them prayed in Mangalagiri thus. If the blessing of great yogini Kururama were to fructify and we receive the darshan of Sripada, who is not different from Datta, we request for your physical darshan as Sri Nusimhadeva. When the fire of broken twigs was raging, Bilwamangala and Chintamani felt immense agony as if their bodies were put on funeral pyre. After some time, some black shapes closely resembling them came out of their bodies and fell into the flames, bitterly crying. They were completely burnt. When the two black images were burnt down, Bilwamangala and Chintamani regained their consciousness. By that time, the forest tribals came there with their sister Chenchulakshmi. They tied tightly the hands of Nusimhadeva and produced him before Sripada. Such wonderful and strange things did not take place in any yuga. In the program of Sripada's incarnation, miracles and sportive plays were countless and unimaginable. Sripada questioned like this: Are you Nusimha of bygone eons? Is this Chenchulakshmi your wife? Are you the one who killed Hiranyakashapa and protected Prahlada? For that, Sri Nusimhadeva replied in the affirmative twice. Chenchulakshmi and Nusimhadeva merged in the body of Sripada in the form of brilliant light. Chintamani transformed as a great yogini. Chenchus disappeared. Bilwamangala became a great devotee and came to be known as Bilwamangala Maharshi. Sripada announced that in the lands of Sri Narsimhavarma, where all these strange and weird incidents happened, a village by name Chitravada would come about. Sripada is Satya Sankalpa and Siddha Sankalpa. श्रीपादराजं शरणं प्रपद्ये।